Okay, I think by now most of you out there are familiar with my little tit sauce Regent BR9SS here. I bought this quite a while back. No, well, not a while back, like maybe a month or so ago. And since then I've made a lot of changes to it. In fact, the only things that are actually still stock on this gun are the slide, the frame, the sear lever, and the sights. That's the only thing still original to this gun. I've changed out a lot of the parts. And in a previous video, I stated that a lot of the parts that I used to replace the old parts with, I got from BH Spring Solutions, especially the springs and things like the extended safety, etc. here. Well, because I mentioned that in a video, they contacted me out of the blue the other day and told me I had a package coming in the mail. And they actually sent me a couple of things that they said that they'd like to see me try out. So I wanted to show those to you today. Now, one of the things they sent me is a really nice pair of wood grips. They know I like nice wood grips, so they sent me a pair of those. If you take a closer look at them here, you'll see they actually do have the swell here, which helps guide your thumb. I like grips a lot better when they have the swell than I do when they're just flat, so these are pretty nice. And also, if you'll look and see, I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but guess who's on the grip? Yep, you guessed it, John Moses Browning. I will definitely be putting these to good use. I'm going to be refinishing my actual Browning High Power here pretty soon, and once it's finished, these will be the grips that are on it for certain. Now, the other thing they sent me, I'm going to put on my actual tit sauce. This is an S.F.S 2.0 system for Browning High Power. This is a system that changes the way the hammer functions on the gun. And we'll go into that a little bit more in detail here in just a little bit. But first, I'm going to have to actually put this on my current gun. And since I don't do the best install instructionals, and you've all already seen me take apart my tit sauce a couple of times now, I'm not going to bore you with the disassembly, mainly because it ends up with a lot of swearing and a lot of edits. So I'm just going to take it apart, and once I have it apart, I'll go into putting this on and tell you what the major features of this system are if you're not already familiar with it. Okay, I've got my frame completely stripped down now, and I took all the parts that I took off of it and put them in a little bag here because they're all original Browning parts, so I can put those back on my other Browning when I refinish it. The only thing I didn't put in the bag is my sear pin here and my actual ejector because I'm going to be reusing those in this gun. All right, let's get this open and see what's in here. Okay, in here there is a special slide release, there is a special safety, there are a couple other little parts here that I'll tell you what they are when we're putting it together. And there is a little spring here, and of course the special hammer, and a couple of different leaf springs for a couple of different options depending on your gun. So let's go ahead and get these parts put on the new gun. Okay, ever since we moved here, I haven't been able to find my bench vise, so I'm going to try to hold this as steady as possible with a couple of boxes of ammo here while I install everything. This is supposedly pretty easy, we'll see here. You just start with your sear pin and you put it in right to where it's flush with the inside of the frame. Then you're going to take your sear here and just put it in place on that little peg. And then push the pin just through to where it's just flush with the other side of the sear. Just about like that right there. Now I'm going to put this little piece right here on there, one that looks like a little fish hook. Now when this is installed, it should be hanging down like with the hook facing forward, so got to put that in there. We'll put it in upside down just because it's easier. Where's the hole? I always have trouble finding the hole on these things. Alright, I think I got that on there. Yep, I got that on there. And the next thing I go on is our ejector. Goes figure that the part that would be the hardest to get back in is the part that I'm used to putting in. Alright, that is in there. Now I'm just going to push the pin through to where it's flush. Okay, now that portion is completely installed. Now we just got to put in the hammer and the actual physical safety itself, along with the leaf springs and all the other little spring-a-majobbers that go down in here. Okay, now I'm going to put the hammer on here, and I got to bring that up from the bottom or it's not going to fit. The little spring thing won't fit past the ejector. So this is not a fun part, trying to fish it up through there. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. This time it's not. Oh, and while I'm fishing with this, I want to tell some people a little thing that some people get on me. I want to talk about a little thing some people get on me for. Not the little thing everybody's thinking about. But A lot of people ask me why I don't use needle nose like with this ejector while I was holding it in place trying to fish the pin. Well, the reason I don't use needle nose is because even though I have fat arthritic fingers, they're still good enough to hold those things in place like the ejector. So when I'm fishing the pin through, if I'm actually holding on to the part, I can feel the resistance of the pin itself against the side of the metal piece, and when it hits the hole, I can feel that little tink, so that makes it easier for me. Okay, I got the hammer in there. Now I got to bring the sear back down to where it's supposed to be, which is flip it all the way over because I had it flipped all the way forward to get this in here. And then I got to take the safety that has the pole on it, the main part here, and I got to fish it through here, which I think I've done there. But there's one little thing I got to do here. I got to make sure I hit this hook. There's a little hook in there we installed. This little second arm right here has to hook into that. So I got to try to do that. Let's see if I succeed. It looks like I did succeed. So let's see if I can get this all the way in here. Okay, I almost forgot. I got to put this tiny little spring in this side of the safety. So first I got to lift this up. Okay, here's where having my little fat arthritic fingers doesn't help when I got to put little springs like this in. But I'll usually put them on the end of like a punch right here. It makes them a lot easier to direct where they're going. This is where a flattened out popsicle stick comes in very handy. All right, now I can put the other side of the safety on, which it only goes on one way, so you can't do it wrong. And the little pin is even started for you here. So this is easy. Just make sure you support the other side of the safety, or you're going to be pushing it through when you push this one on. All right, it is on. Now I just got to put the leaf spring in here. Now the one we'll be using is the one that has the little bend in the end of it there. So let's go ahead and get that put in place, and then we'll see what happens here. And to put this in place, you just slide it up in there and slide it up underneath the sear. And then you put this in place, push the bottom into place, and just slide it down. Right there, and it'll snap into place. Now let's see if it works. Yep, it works. All right, hard part's done. Now let's just put the gun back together. I'm running into one little problem here. My little sear pin is not flush, so let's get that flush so the slide will go on properly. And now this part is actually easier now with this system because the new slide release doesn't need to be pulled back to go on. You can just stick it right in there. Make sure you don't scratch up your finish while you're doing it. All right, it is in, and it's in there solid. All right, everything seems to be working, so let's put the grips back on it. Okay, the S.F.S 2.0, I believe it's called, hammer here is installed, the one that BH Springs Solutions sent me. So now I'm going to have to try it out and see if I like it. Now, before I go any further here, I want to show people what it's supposed to do. If you're someone that has never seen this, or you didn't figure it out from what I've done already in the video, once you rack the slide and cock the gun, it is in carry condition 1. It's cocked and locked, sorta, but this isn't locked yet, because if the hammer's back, it ain't locked. What you gotta do is push the hammer forward. And that hammer pushes forward so easy. I didn't think it'd be so easy. And when you do, the safety springs up. When you push the safety down, that springs back, it's ready to fire. So once it's cocked, you just push it back forward, and I'll put my pinky here to show you how easy it does it. Just goes forward real easy. So I like it so far. I like the way it functions. What I'm hoping most is that this thing doesn't bite me, because the old one bit me pretty bad. So now that it's all put together, you might be asking me, what are the advantages of this type of hammer, this type of trigger system? Well, I don't know. I have a hunch as to what I think might be advantageous about this hammer, but I'm going to have to put some rounds through the gun and carry it a little bit first to see if I'm right or not. And since we have a drought outside and can't shoot outside, I'm going to have to go to the indoor range, which means there's going to be no filming, so just so you know. But once I get some rounds through it, I'll have a better idea of what the advantages of it are. But for now, I'm going to say it went in fairly easily. Maybe not as easily as it looked in this video, but fairly easily. I'd say anyone with any level of competence could do it. And as far as, like I said, what are the advantages of it? Well, stay tuned. Once I get some rounds through it, I'll let you know if this hammer is worth it. Well, that didn't work. It helps if you get your tools out first so that you're not fishing for them while you're trying to do this. What did I do with those instructions? Did I throw them away? Oh, too far. Too far. I hope I didn't lose anything. Well, I'm not seeing where the fuck it goes. Here, hold on. With what?
With Blake's phone charger.
I'll be in a minute, Caden.
You know if you have the right type of charger for it.
Alright, we'll see.
Okay. Be in my room.
Alright. Okay, this is fucking pissing me off. Shit. Now this safety only goes on one way, so you don't really have to worry about if you're getting it on right, because there's only one way to do it. Oh, shit. God damn it, I pushed that right through. That spring came out. Make sure you get it under the sear, if you can find the damn sear. I could use my screwdriver that actually fits these to do this, but I'm too freaking lazy. Never underestimate how lazy I am. Why do you think I'm retired in my 50s? Because I'm fucking lazy. If I didn't lose that spring, it didn't. Fuck it, I gotta do it all over again.